Wait, 6 years.
I'm just curious if anybody asked him. He said mainly just tried to adjust them up over Easter. The other gal was texting her, she tried. I wore her game for the Park Festival.
That's what we gotta look at. We're good. All right, I'll call this November 4th, 2024 school board work session to order. Turn it over to you, Dr. Argas.
Thanks, sir. Good morning. Hope everybody had a good weekend. First item on the agenda, we've talked about over the last couple of months at different times, the gun awareness project and that information. And I told you I would schedule the opportunity for them to come and speak today with the board, just to make sure if you all had questions or anything that you all could get those answered. So we have with us this morning, we've got Carrie McGrath, Karen Fisher, and a couple others as well from the Gun Awareness Project, Be Smart, and they have a presentation to share with you as well. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn it over. I don't know who wants to.
I'll go first.
Yes, sir.
Anywhere's
fine.
That's fine. Just want to let you know my glasses are not a fashion statement. The temple broke this morning on the way up here, so sorry. My name is Nick Fisher, and Karen and I have been partnering for 56 years, and we got together the Gun Aware Project after the murder-suicide at Blacksburg High School in November of 2023. I've been dealing with gun violence ever since I was a high school teacher in Minneapolis, Minnesota, going back to 1967, 68. And we've been dealing with it since Columbine because we were both in places. In fact, we were talking about Wilmington, Delaware, where there was gun violence. The basic focus of the Gun Aware Project is to do two things. One, to increase gun safety for kids, meaning to try to make sure that as many guns as possible, which are out in the community, are stored safely. Because it's kind of like Christmas presents for kids. You store them secretly and every kid knows where they are. Same thing with guns. Kids find guns. It's just a reality. And what we are not in the business of is trying to say, we're not in the business of background checks, not in the business of anything but gun safety. And so one of the things we do is hand out gun locks. We've handed out more than 650 of them in Montgomery County, particularly after, during back to school days, we did that. And we did this by fundraising in Montgomery County. We are now incorporated in the state of Virginia. We are also certified by the federal government as a 501c3, which is a not-for-profit. A little bit of background on me: I was been in public education for 50 years. We've worked in 8 states. We've moved 18 times. And we've owned a few houses. We've also I've been a superintendent and an associate commissioner, so I've dealt with this both at a school level, a district level, and state level. We are focused on improving gun safety, especially for kids. We are also focused on suicide prevention, because one of the things we've learned in Montgomery is that there are numerous agencies out there trying to serve young people and adults, but there's not always a whole lot of coordination among those agencies and trying to serve kids. We have no illusions that we can be the actors in Giles County. Our notion is to share information, and our notion is that we can hopefully inspire people here to decide to get involved in this. You may or may not be aware that the Surgeon General of the United States said that gun violence is one of the leading causes of death of young people in the United States. In fact, 1.6 million children have been killed by guns over the past several years. And so the question is, what do we do about it? And we think that simple is good, and the simple is get guns locked and safely stored. The simple is be aware that guns are deadly. That if you look at suicides, for example, if a youngster tries to commit suicide with a gun, there's an extremely high likelihood that they're going to die. If they try other methods, there's a pretty good likelihood that they may not succeed. What I can also offer the school district is, as being the superintendent, about this time of year, I would just have a session with principals, and I talked about the signs that you can look for that someone may get involved in a shooting. And the Secret Service has identified these things. I'd be glad to share this information with the superintendent and with the board if you would like. But there are many clear signs, as there were in Columbine. What has been found is that there has never been a school shooting where there were not signs out there that it was going to happen. Either in the change in behavior of the person who was the shooter or behavior around that student by bullying. And so with that, I will make the transition to my partner in crime, Karen.
How do I change the,
Just touch the presentation.
okay. Left one? Okay. It's always different. I'm Karen, and partnered with him, and yes, we have moved 18 times. And I do not want to move again. I got involved with Be Smart, which is the education community education component of what the Gun Aware Project does. We hand out the locks, and with the locks, we hand out information cards. So I'm going to pass this around. This was done, this is the card that was in, we handed out in Montgomery County at the back to school days. So Be Smart, as I said, is our education program, and it is totally apolitical. It's all about asking parents, asking adults to lock up their guns in their homes and their vehicles. Firearms are the leading cause of death for children and teens. That includes up through 19. But it's alarming how many kids, younger kids, are losing their lives because they got a hold of a gun or someone else got a hold of a gun and shot it. The kids who do take guns to school and shoot and kill people, for the most part, get them from their own homes. In 1997 or 8, in Jonesboro, Arkansas, 2 young boys, 11 and 12, broke into one of their grandfather's homes and took the guns, went outside the playground area of their middle school and shot and killed. I believe it was 4 people and wounded others, and one was a teacher. So locking up guns in everybody's homes, not just parents, but any homes that kids go to, is extremely important. And this is the model that we are using. Secure guns, model responsible behavior, ask, and this is the hardest thing for people to do because it is not at all part of the culture. Ask if there are unsecured guns in others' homes where your children go. Recognize the role of guns in suicide. I'll say a little bit more later, and I understand that this is a very sensitive subject. And then tell, and that's where you come in. 13 million households with children have unsecured guns. One study found that, I'm having trouble seeing this, I hope you know, kids know where the guns are. They know where their Christmas presents are. Hiding guns is not securing a gun. Telling your kids not to touch the guns when you're not around. There are some kids who will obey that, but there are a whole bunch that won't. People who grew up in a gun safety culture from the olden days, they know these rules, these safety rules. It is important to have the conversation with kids about safety when it comes to guns. That is a precaution only. That is not a solution to keeping them away. How many in this room, rhetorical question, always obeyed your parents all the time? And then keep your language simple, especially for younger kids. So asking, there are hints and tips on how to do this on the besmartforkids.org website. I won't go into it in much detail, but you can always email or text and always have the other parents' kids come to your house. And recognizing the role of guns in suicide. 90% of suicide attempts with a gun results in death. Other means, as Nick said, there is a pretty good chance that they will survive. Many teen suicides are impulsive, especially. They're not planned. My girlfriend broke up with me, my life is over, I come home, find an unsecured gun, and usually it's a young man who takes his own life. And then spreading the word, which is why we're here, to ask you to help spread the word. Possible next steps. We have a sample school board resolution that would be for your consideration. It authorizes the superintendent to get Be Smart education information to families throughout the school year through all of your media. Create Be Smart cards with the Giles logo, like the Montgomery, or similar to the Montgomery County one. And then help support community fundraising to buy locks and to pay for the cards. And then, I'm sure this is ongoing, but identify mental health services for children and teens, especially in Giles, and work on expanding it. So, questions, comments?
I think it's a great thing, we need to try to do
We got,
it. We need to try to, I think it's a great thing you did.
great.
We need to try to do it. Do a lot of good.
Do you have a sample of one of your a gun lock? I just be curious, I'd like to see one.
Sure.
Can
Yeah.
I step in here? Okay. So, when Montgomery County got together and established the gun awareness program, there were a number of people from Giles County that attended that meeting. And then came back here and looked around for people who wanted to do this. So we have a group of people who are now the Giles County Gun Awareness Project folks. Our goal is to do what Montgomery County did. Unfortunately, we need to have money. Montgomery County is a wealthier county. They got a lot of community input because there was a community tragedy that really impacted everybody. So our next step is to find money, and that takes time. So what we've done is we've gotten together, we have looked at every possible grant, and it's amazing what's happening in the country. When I started doing some research, what I found was that there were all these counties, all these municipalities that were doing this exact thing. They were giving out free gun locks. Roanoke gave out $10,000 gun locks, 10,000 gun locks, okay? They got money from Roanoke City and were able to do it. So what we've done is we've started an outreach. We did have a small contribution from some individuals that live in Giles County, and they gave out gun locks at the trick-or-treat, downtown trick-or-treat. They gave out candy, they gave out gun locks, okay? So we've started. It's going to be slow. This takes time. You know, a lot of these grants, they only take them in, the spring, but they only take them in the fall. So we're working on it. We're finding people who, you know what people's biggest fear is? Public speaking, right? Their second biggest fear is having to fill out a grant. Like, okay, we've got 10 places here. I said, who wants to look at this? And everybody's like, but we have had some people that'll say, okay, we're gonna take a look, we'll see what we can do.
Can I interrupt and say?
Yeah.
You can get 1,000 locks for $2,000. They're the cable locks that go through,
Receiver.
there you go, let's look for that word. And we have a vendor who gives us a deal and no shipping, which is, gun locks are heavy, so no shipping is important. And so we're not talking about a huge amount of money initially here.
Yeah, but we'd like to start in Giles County and go to, Narrows, and then go to Pulaski and, any place. The money's out there, we just have to find it. So bear with us, we're working hard, it's slow, but it's gonna happen. It is gonna happen.
Have you presented to the board supervisor? Board supervisor, have you presented?
We have not spoken with them yet.
They have a big grant or two, would probably have to do this.
And that's excellent. I did talk with had a phone conversation with Jason Ballard, because I thought, this is his area. It'd be good if he knew what was going on about this. And he's initiated some policies for getting, I forget what he said. I'll have to think. He's passed one law about gun safety, which was very good. But he said he was trying to get some money for us, and I'm gonna hold him to it. I can be very annoying, but.
I got a connection right here.
No person
I'm looking at you. I'm his mother.
That's his mom.
You. I'm sorry.
Mr. Boston, ever stop and say?
Uh-huh.
He'd be one of
Who is this?
Mr. Boston. Mike Boston, ever stop and say, he's the biggest gun dealer in the county.
Yeah, okay, so we'll talk to him too, thank you. Everything helps, anything, talk up with your friends, let them know, we need money, we'll be working on it. So, it's absolutely 100% doable, okay? And we're gonna make it happen. So,
As a
thank you.
former member of Rotary, I was the president of Rotary in Connecticut. Oftentimes Rotary has people who know people, where you can find resources for that, because it's business people in the community. Is there a Rotary here?
Yeah, we have a really active Rotary club.
Yeah, and that can often be a great source. The other is churches are often very interested in this, in working with youth, because we're dealing with two issues that are very difficult for people to talk about. One is mental health issues, particularly for young people, and suicide. And the second is separating all the discussions about automatic weapons and background checks and whatever from gun safety. And we
Protecting children.
Yeah, and we are specifically focused on protecting children, because there are very few people who would say to us that's a bad idea. And that's why we think it's very important. And again, our role carrying my view, is not to do it here. It's to serve as a resource to you if you decide that this is something important for kids in the county.
And the Gun Aware Project is a 501c3, which covers the entire Blue River Valley. So people can donate to the Gunaware project, and anything that is donated from Giles County can go directly to Giles County.
So we're also exploring possibility of creating a board for the Charles Gun Awareness Project. If you know anybody that might be interested in that, that'd be great. So
That's it.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for,
I'll do what I can.
Okay.
You're only the mom, right?
I'm only the mom, that's right. Only
And
the
it
mom,
depends on the day, right?
that's right. Hope we can limit up his time.
What?
No, I know that that's something, it is very, yeah, so I think it was very great. Yeah, whatever.
If you would do, yes, please do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all, travel safe.
Thank you.
Moving along, just a construction update. Macy, continues to see progress. If you want to go in there anytime, let me know. We'll go in there and walk around. They continue to put units up in the ceiling, in the hallways. They're moving work down. They move downstairs, working on the hallway back towards the office. So they're doing those, and they're working on plastering around the windows now as well, in areas where that was necessary. And then they're going to work, I think, today or tomorrow, trying to get one of the rooms set up so that we can see what the ceiling looks like tied into the windows, so we can have an idea of what that will look like, and if that's the best way to proceed with all of them. So that's Mason. Narrows Giles High School and the Tech Center, bids are opened up this Thursday, the 7th, 2 o'clock, Narrows and Giles High School, 3 o'clock, Giles Tech Center. We're looking, we've asked them, asked the contractors to provide us bids for 2 different ways. Them doing work in the evenings like they're doing at Macy, or if they're provided access to 4 rooms or 6 rooms. Because that question was brought up during the pre-bid meeting. Are they gonna have access during the day? So we've asked them to kind of quote them both ways. That way we can see what the difference in the cost is gonna be, because if we have to give up 4 or 6 rooms, that could be an additional cost of renting mobile units. Or very thought out planning on every room being utilized, every space being utilized while those rooms are being done. Because that would mean no planning, no room would have to be vacant, every room would be utilized throughout the day, or the auditorium, or the gym, or the cafeteria, or whatever it might be. We asked them to do that. We also asked about Eastern. Eastern, we anticipate should have been completed last week. So we've got a meeting with Randy tomorrow, I think. So we'll have an idea when that should be ready to go out to bid, so that should be soon. There's Elementary also, as of last week, was another week or 2. So that should closely follow Eastern. And then Mason Phase 2, again, we're meeting with them tomorrow to kind of have a conversation about that, to see what we move that along as well. So those are moving along and should go out here, at least Eastern and Arizona Elementary, in the next couple of weeks. Questions on those? All right. Next item. Dr. Brown. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, what about the other projects as far as the road, the 2 road projects, getting that?
I met with Bob on Friday afternoon. He's cleaning up some work, some paperwork, it's a presentation or information to submit to the town of Parisburg for the road at Giles High School. That should be just a matter of cleaning that information up and submitting that to Parisburg so that they can get that and see if there's anything else that they need. Eastern, we heard back from VDOT, you cannot, they won't approve coming straight out and having two exits or crossovers on 460 that close together. Like we talked about, we just came straight out of the parking lot on the upper side, so they would not approve that. So the only option would be, if we wanted to connect the parking lot to the cul-de-sac. And that would be based on looking at the work that Bob has drafted, and he's gonna clean it up a little bit, but he's got some work to clean up on that as well. About 3/4 of an acre, he projected that we would need there. So he has to work on, my understanding, have a conceptual drawing or something so we can submit it to the landowner, so we can have a conversation to get the deed. And he's working on that.
Oh, what about the job?
He's cleaned up, I'm sorry, he's cleaned up the paperwork on that. He's got a presentation or information he was gonna submit to the town of Harrisburg. We talked about that Friday as well. He'll submit that as soon as he gets that cleaned up. That should be ready to go, because they met out there 2-3 weeks ago. Dr. Brown, Todd Meredith, Chris McCarney, Bob, Jesse Williams, and had a conversation. So it's just a matter of him cleaning that paperwork up and getting it submitted.
Then the next projects, the track and the baseball field.
He's working on those as well. He talked to me Friday, again afternoon, about those as well. He's got some work still he's working on to do on that. He looked at the track, looked at that wall, he's come up with a couple ideas. He's got a little bit of, he needs to get somebody in there to clean the brush off that back curb, so he can kind of see what that wall looks like, and see what the hill looks like underneath of it, because he can't really see because of how much that's grown up. So he wants to see that. He wants to get that done. He's going to have somebody come in and look at that. We talked about that. And he's also, again, working and looking at the baseball field.
What about the road history, you know, I wasn't paying attention.
The only true way to do that is to have the access from the road, the parking lot to the cul-de-sac. We can't come straight across out of
I
that
heard that.
because of VDOT.
Too
VDOT
close.
won't approve it. Too close to intersections. Yeah, they won't approve that. So it'd be about, based on what I recall looking at, what he shared on Friday, was about 3/4 of an acre for that road would be based on the building.
Well, we got somebody survey that board, we got plenty.
And he's working on cleaning up plans and that sort of stuff, so that's what we need to submit to talk to the person about getting the land.
Yeah, I think we can do something to relieve that evening, that there's a mess. Get something equal. Can buy it, you won't grade it, stone it for the winter time being, get a little relief out there, it's just a mess out there.
So he's working on it now. We'll keep in contact with him, see how he's progressing, see what else we need to do.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't write those 2 down, 3 down.
Anybody, is there anything? I think that's all the construction projects I can. Oh, yeah, one more. Has Bobby looked at the Head Start building?
We've asked him, I don't know that he has.
We'll follow up with that one.
If we never get to the point, I think I think we had the request to do paving at Myers Elementary. The county understands that a lot of paving needs to be done. Looks to me like we can get all this paving, get all this stuff planned out, put all this paving together in one bid, and let, if we get more, a bigger contractor, and we'll get a better price on it. Either that separately or all together. The county's got some paving needed to do too, I understand.
Yeah, I don't know how much they have. I thought they said they had something, I don't know how much.
It looks like we get it all together. Like you can get a better deal to put it all together.
And have that Wednesday too.
else, construction wise?
Thanks, sir. At our last work session, Mr. Buckland, we had talked about a county freezer, and Mr. Buckland had inquired about, one at the hospital. I met with Chris McClarney, the other day, actually says this morning, it was the other day. And also talked with Bobby Fisher as well. There is actually not a freezer at the old hospital. There is, however, 2 generators that could power a freezer of the entire facility out there. According to Chris, there was a discussion prior years that we, prior to me coming here, was looking into a grant to provide a freezer to be located at the hospital as a central point for the school division. Chris is fine with us, Mr. McClarney is fine with us locating a freezer there at the old hospital if we could provide the actual freezer. I believe the grant, and I'm speculating, I believe the grant that he was talking about is BDOE has an equipment grant that you can apply for. Unfortunately, we have too much money in our accounts right now to qualify for that. I've actually submitted for that grant in years past and have been denied because of we actually do have an excess of money that wouldn't qualify us. I just roughly estimated, I went online and looked at freezers. 10 by 20 by 7'7" one would be about $40,000. If you wanted to get a bigger one like we have in our schools, those are actually constructed on site. They're closer to between $80,000 and $120,000. So it just depends on what size you probably want a bigger one. A 10 by 20 it's big, but it's not big enough to hold everything that we potentially could need. Plus, the county also uses our freezer at the school board garage down there. They actually use our freezer to store the venison that's distributed out to the community members and so forth. So they actually use it as well. So that is the information I have found so far. I can pursue that further if you'd like to get some more detailed costs on that.
I think that's ultimately the route we need to pursue if we need backup generator power rather than, unless there's an option on school facilities now without having to buy, and buy our generator.
We have a generator at Giles, and I inquired with Bobby on that, but apparently it only runs the emergency lights. No, we have one at Nares High School, and I believe it powers the freezer downstairs. I do believe we have one at Eastern, but I do not know the capabilities, the size of that. I know you had to fill out a questionnaire with the DOE about freezers and needs, is that correct?
They just asked what we had needs and whether we had generators and that sort of stuff.
I mean, ultimately, the end goal would be to have a backup generator for our kitchens at every school, because, I mean, they go down, a few times every year. I know during Hurricane Helene, we lost approximately $800 to $900 worth of product at Nares High School because the refrigerator, it was actually the refrigerator that went down. So freezers are not so bad. They'll hold their temp for a day or so. Refrigerators are the ones that are concerned. So, and I can.
Well, I just think before we commit to, the number 125 building on a Macy or here, we need to know what we need to do, whether it's, invest in backup generators at the schools and not worry as much about a central location, or if we need to, focus on a central location.
I can gather some more information for you and get that as soon as possible. Kind of a if this or that, or be this much.
I believe I done one, I'm gonna do the big one first. Ask for supervisor to help a little bit, they don't kick in and help some of it too, just showing advance.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do the big one.
Well, we probably do need a central freezer because the one at the school board garage, it's older. It might have, I don't know the history of it per se, but, I mean, it still works, but it's, you know, it,
It ain't gonna
Stop
take too many
running.
times, it ain't gonna take too many times them going down and food you lose, but make a good thing going.
and I also learned that, for insurance, we have $1,000 deductible for occurrences like that, so if you don't lose more than $1,000 worth of product, you're not gonna get, you know, we just basically had to take a loss in that nearest high school. I did try to contact USDA and see if we could get some additional product back in, and they were looking for that to give us some extra money, but never heard back from that.
Even if you have this central freezer, would you still wanna have backup generators at these?
Ultimately, yeah, yes, sir.
But you're not gonna transfer all the food from each school up there every time you have an outage, or I wouldn't think you'd want to.
No,
That's down, for we need to be down several days or so.
Yeah, well, that's different, but you have something just goes down for 24 hours, I still think you need to see about getting generators for each school.
Well, I believe we need to look at the generators we currently have at each school and see what their
See if they're
capacity is.
capable.
Because we don't have anything at Macy, we don't have anything at Mayor's Elementary, correct? So they're at Giles High School, Mayor's High School, and Eastern Elementary, correct? So I can look into that, kind of give us some more information and bring that before y'all. School nutrition update, gave you your one pager, handout. We just closed out the accounts Thursday, so we don't have all the financial information gathered. Katrina and David are busy processing payroll and so forth. But you can see from the one pager, how we did from October to September. We do have the claims and we do have the reimbursement numbers. That 146, 756.99 will actually, be a little higher. Actually, David has it at, 166, 163.24. And that's also minus the CACFP after-school meals. We're still waiting on paperwork from the schools to process those claims. So hopefully for the two high schools, that'll boost their numbers a little bit. I told Mr. Buckman earlier, hopefully we'll have that information sometime this week. And I can share that either at the next board meeting or I can send it out at your request.
Good to see you, well.
Also, I believe I told you this, but if not, I'll let you know. I've started meeting with our managers twice a month now. One meeting, we develop our menus. The next meeting is our financial health updates, and for our financial health, I call it financial health updates. I am meeting individually with each manager and kind of going over where they're at each month, where I'd like to see them go, what can we do different, things like that. So I am now meeting with them twice a month.
I was talking to, Mr. Brady after Giles the other day, where we was talking to you about the lunch program and some of the safety stuff around in front of the school where he made a suggestion, the more I thought about it, I think he had a good idea. He made a suggestion to unload the buses in the back at the cafeteria in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids have to go through the cafeteria and there'd be a whole lot more have to pick something up going through there.
Well, I know at Macy, they run through the cafeteria. I believe they do the same. I know Nares High School, I don't know, they run everybody through their cafeteria. Nares Elementary, they encourage all their students to go in. So I don't have a problem with that. That will be up to Mrs. Bonas.
But he made a suggestion.
I know.
He said it would help unload the parents in the front in the mornings,
How's,
buses in the back, and it would really help with traffic, everybody crossing over each other.
I know currently buses in the front, parents in the back. That, again, that would be a discussion with Ms. Bonas if she would.
Because there ain't enough room in that, you know, every car stops at the door, and sometimes they'll back up around the band room, and in the park, back in the park a lot in the morning, unloading there at the cafeteria, cars.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the buses would unload pretty easy there at the cafeteria door, where they stagger coming in. Put the parents out front. This suggestion you made, I'm more thought about it, I'll be over it.
We can, maybe at our next AZM meeting, we can have that discussion. I'm all for anything.
But it does make sense that if they go through that cafeteria, it changes them grabbing something a whole lot more.
Yes, sir, it is.
So I mean,
I agree 100%, so, anything we can do to boost our participation. So,
that's what we're doing, that's right.
all for that. Do you have any questions about financial updates or updates on the cafeteria?
How are the deli boxes doing?
Some schools are doing well, and some schools, you know, we're working on that. I think, you know, I talked with you about, marketing these directly to the students. So we're working on getting that information out. You know, one of the things that I want to do is, directly send the menus to the students. I believe we're working on a new program through Power School that will allow us to send those out in mass. Also, posted on our Facebook, we've asked that the principals, anything that we post on our Facebook, that they tag and post on theirs. So we're trying to get the word out. My personal feeling is, I don't know that it's been marketed enough. I've been to each school, I've encouraged them, I've made suggestions and encouragements of how to display it. I went to one school, they had a picture posted on the refrigerator, and I was like, I reminded them that their customers are that tall and they can't see that. Put an actual box out so they can see it. I think with some additional marketing, I think we can increase those sales, or I'm hoping to increase those sales. I'm hoping to be able to send the menus out directly to parents and to staff and to the students. We're waiting to receive that plug-in from Power School to do that. But I believe, you know, I actually shared that, went to the Farm to School conference last week and actually shared that in one of the sessions and had several school divisions interested in that and actually shared the advertisement that we put on Facebook. So they were very, very impressed with that. So, yeah. And we're working on other things as well. I'm going to challenge our managers for December to not come up with a totally different menu, but to add, you know, I've done some research into recipes and how we can utilize our USDA commodity products and so forth. So I'm going to challenge them to come up with utilizing some new recipes. One, you know, we have nachos on the menu. I actually found a USDA recipe for chicken nachos to utilize our USDA products. So kind of change it up a little bit and see if we can't utilize some of our commodities with new menu items. And I think December will be it's a short month, be a good time to introduce some new things. So, and also I've had some managers that want to revamp our breakfast menu. And I think this month we'll look at that for December as well. We've actually tried one new product at a couple of schools. It was a big hit. For lack of a better word, it's McGriddle. Mm-hmm. It's just like the McDonald's McGriddle. So we actually received a sample of that from one of our suppliers. We requested that. I think it was one school served a sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle. One served the egg and cheese. One, you know, it's different variations, and it was a pretty big hit. So hopefully we'll continue with that. Come up with some additional.
Yeah, that's great. And I know I told you before the meeting started, but just so everybody else here that I had already gotten phone calls. Macy did cinnamon rolls this morning. Everybody's very happy. I have a kid who made a couple himself this morning apparently, and so I'm glad to see them trying something new, and so that's awesome.
We, you know, right now we have some of our schools that are doing from scratch. I've encouraged that as much as possible. We have a couple of schools that are really doing their best to make from scratch products, utilizing our USDA commodities and so forth. If you don't know, our USDA commodities, we get a certain allotment per year from the federal government, and that's not free, but I mean, it's free to us. But so we get beef, chicken, some vegetables, fruit, canned fruit, keys, things like that. So I'm challenging our managers to utilize that product in some of the recipes.
Mr. Grant, could we talk about the summer program a little bit too?
That is next on the agenda.
Oh, you got it on there?
Yes, sir. Summer food, I know, Mr. Williams and I have talked about summer food, and one of the things that we need to start doing, I think I mentioned to you, we need to start planning that now for this upcoming summer. So I'm looking into some various options for summer feeding. You know, just from the feedback that I've received, you know, last year in doing this, one of the hardest things is getting labor to do the summer food. You know, our managers and our other employees, you know, we still have to do summer school. We have 4 weeks for that. But we also need to look at you know, feeding through the entire summer. So I'm looking into some options with that, or we'll start looking into like serving at churches and daycares and so forth, utilizing, hopefully they have members that can come in and serve. Of course, it depends on how we want to do it. Do we want to prepare meals and serve those daily at these locations, or do we want to do up to 5 days or 10 days of meals, or can we do both? So I'm looking into what we can and can't do. I know you had mentioned the Ministerial Association. We probably need to meet with those. Can you arrange a meeting with them?
They're ready to come.
Can we maybe talk tomorrow and come up with some dates so we can?
Yeah, they're ready to come. I've talked to the pastors and they said it's a good idea. They think they'd be enough people.
We need to
Help.
identify some churches in the western.
That's what I thought. We could prepare and get it out to the churches all through the county.
Yeah.
We reach a lot more kids.
Yeah. So we need to get that going as soon as possible. I need to reach out to some daycares here, see if they would be interested in it.
They just want the dates. They'll be there.
Maybe, I can talk about some possible dates to meet. At some point, need to figure out when our summer school is going to be held this year, where it's going to be held. That's going to give us the location of a central kitchen. One of the things that in conversations with other school divisions, one of the things that during summer food that come in handy is a panel van or a truck, a delivery truck. In talking to some other divisions, they actually don't purchase those, they lease them for the summer. Penske, Penske was one of them, so I need to start looking into potentially what that would cost and get the blessing of the board to move forward or not move forward on that.
That'd be the best way to do it.
Also need to look into if there's any grants out there that would assist us. No Kid Hungry is a good source, and just see if there's any other sources out there for grants.
I agree with you 100%. I'm glad we started early.
Well,
We're
just-
starting on it.
We need
Pull
to
it off next year.
figure if we can do it, what we can do, what we can't do. I know we're gonna feed folks during summer school, and of course, we could piggyback off of that somewhat, but I believe you folks would be interested in going even longer out, is that correct? Like to July?
Yeah.
We just need to start planning it now and go from that. Any questions on summer food? Here in the past month or two, I was contacted by the Virginia Tech, an individual in their master's in public health program, conducted an interview with them a month or so ago in regards of how our cafeterias work, how we serve our students, so forth. It was for a project that they were working on for their master's program. Started to develop that relationship with them. I invited them over to come and see our schools. If they were interested, they contacted me. I took them to Nares Elementary. They got to watch breakfast service, what that entailed and so forth. And as part of that, I actually invited Emily Cook with Cook Nutrition to come down and be a part of that discussion. And I guess the long story short, we're kind of fostering a relationship with that program. They are actually going to do a presentation on the 14th at the Pearisburg Community Center to discuss their findings about adolescent nutrition in Pearisburg. I encourage y'all to come if you're available. I plan to be there and really interested to see what they have to say about that. Talk to them about educational opportunities, and when I say educational opportunities, how can they assist us in developing some educational materials for our parents and for our students on healthy options, healthy eating. So we're kind of continuing to look into that, to see what's available, see how they can help us with that. Also, again, I've included Mrs. Cook in that discussion as well. There is, so to kind of tie into that, been working with Emily Cook with the County Wellness Program and about our school nutrition. We're currently working on getting snacks that will be provided to the wellness, by the wellness program to our teachers, and they would actually be sold through our cafeteria point of sale, so we can also collect data on that as well. We are also starting to explore the idea of providing a garden bar to one of our elementary schools as a pilot project, and we're meeting this month. Mrs. Cook and myself and one of our board members are meeting this month to explore that in more detail to see if it would be a feasible cost-wise. I am hoping, if we decide that that is a possibility, to actually bring this Virginia Tech program on board to see what they can do, because there needs to be an educational component tied to that for our students. And when I say garden bar, basically it's a salad bar on steroids. It would also be in conjunction with the meal that is being served. So it will be an extra expense, but it will also be introducing our students to having as fresh fruits and vegetables available to them to try and to encourage healthy eating. So a lot of exciting things in our school nutrition program going on.
Add a little bit to that too.
Sure.
During our trip our last week, we wanted to boost our stock that on kill the kids did too. The hydroponics, I talked to Mr. Brown, brought some literature back. And I talked to Mr. Mills a little bit ago and told him about it. They've got a unit, Miss Eddings will try to get it going at school with jobs. But anyway, they make these units, that'll grow 400 pounds of lettuce or whatever, 400 pounds a year, and them units don't cost about, just like a refrigerator stand up, don't cost about $1,000. I think it'd be a good thing to get our elementary kids growing some stuff there at the elementary level too.
I actually, at my farm to school conference, they had a hydroponic display as well, but it was geared toward the STEM programs. And actually gave my information to the gentleman there, and I believe he's gonna reach out to us. But it had everything. Now it was, I think it was like $6,200 or $6,500, but it included the unit and all the supplies and materials.
I'm wrong, it's $5,000, the upright was $5,000.
Yeah.
I got mixed up. $1,000 when you take a half grow at home.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could buy some for $1,000.
Yeah.
But it also included the curriculum and I believe the actual components to do a year's worth of growing. But they were geared toward the actual STEM programs.
But I think it's, we need to really look into that, it's the future.
One of the school systems, so I believe, one of our school systems, I thought we were like one of the very few ag labs, and we are in Virginia. Well, I believe it's Waynesboro. Man, they are knocking it out of the park. They are more focused on the vegetable side of it. They've actually, they grow food for their cafeterias, and one of the things is the lettuce. I can't remember how many hundreds of thousands of pounds they grow, but they've actually tied it to their curriculum. They actually have, I can't remember, maybe it was thousands of pounds of vegetables they grow on like a third or a half acre of land. But it was fantastic. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But they focused on the vegetable end, we focused on the beef end, so.
Yeah, those units, I never had seen them before, you start out small with them, you start out small, and you just plug in, add more to it as you go, you can fill a whole greenhouse up.
It was, pretty amazing, what they had, like That's the one, I know you can't see it, but that's the one, it looks like you said, a large
Is that
refrigerator.
company in Ohio?
No, I believe they were in Virginia. I know the gentleman that I spoke with was based in Virginia. It's STEM Garden, Babylon Micro Farms. But it was pretty exciting.
He told us they could get grant funding for them, help fund them, and get school district 5% off.
And then Mrs. Dunn,
Free shipping.
we had talked, last year about hydroponics, and I believe the system that she had researched was around 15,000 to go in the hoop houses. So, any question on those two, Virginia Tech or Mrs.?
The one thing I would say is, I love the garden bar pilot. I think that's really important. And we saw, Miss Gigi and some of her students come in and present some of the work that they're doing. And if there's a way for us to integrate the curriculum that she's doing on, in each individual building, wherever we're doing the pilot project, to have like this experience where the students do the work with her in the class and learn about the vegetables or the food, and then they see it in front of them in the cafeteria, and they go, oh, Miss Gigi cut up cucumbers this morning, like, I'm gonna go get cucumbers, right? Like, whatever that, like, there's a way to integrate that. It's just gonna take a little bit upfront coordination, but I know that she would probably be on board with helping us, sort of close the loop on that experience for the students. I think would be really cool.
So just to be clear, if we do this as a pilot, there will be no reimbursement for it. It's an extra added expense, but it will, if we start at the elementary level and build forward, it'll hopefully encourage healthy eating habits and so forth. And as part of our wellness policy, we do have to offer nutritional educational items, and this will be an additional component. So we're starting to look into it, and I think it's the 11th we're meeting. And I would encourage y'all, anybody that wants to come and be part of that meeting, you're welcome to. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Yes, November 12th, I believe, is when we're meeting. So,
Good deal. And more opportunities.
any additional questions on that? All right, school bus quotes, unofficial quotes. I reached out to 3 manufacturers, and I got quotes from all 3, and those are included on a handout that I gave you. I believe there's pretty self-explanatory. We just need to know how you want to proceed, if you want to proceed, if you want to do a bid, if you want to, how you would like to do that, if we have money this year, yes, no, maybe. But those are the numbers that I received back from the 3 individual bus manufacturers. And I did give them all the same specifications. I gave them the same specifications that we used for buses in the past, and those were provided to IC, Bluebird, and Thomas.
I hope we can share a way to get a couple this year. If you buy 2 every year, you can keep up. You don't try to get 2 every year, especially if you gotta have 5 with money stuff.
Agree with you, Mr. Williams, and I'm ready to proceed however the board would like to. I know there needs to probably be some discussion on finances there, but that's the information I have so far.
And I hope that we look at that. I talked to a few people, and a lot of the school districts now are going back to the gas buses. Because just the maintenance just half what it is on diesel. Always plug up in the winter, start better, running just as good, get as good a fuel mileage. Fed DF, when it goes out, what we're spending now, when you spend several $1,000s on maintenance trying to keep DF stuff going, but I think we really should have try a couple of gas ones. Wick County, Monroe County's got a couple, Wick County's bought some too. I was having to run, come to the high school one night, and Wick was there with the volleyball team, and somebody had one other one. He said they were really pleased with it so far.
Currently, the only one that makes a gas model is Bluebird. Thomas will be coming out with a gas model in 2025. So they'll be available next year. I don't know exactly when they'll be available, but, and IC, I don't know if or when they'll have a gas model.
Thirdly, I hope we try a couple gas ones. I think it'll find us will be the future.
What's the options on them? Talk about
So,
options.
I can provide you with the actual quotes that have the options on them. Basically, they do have the 240 horsepower diesel motors in them, or the equivalent to the gas and so forth. But I've got the quotes if you want me to send it to you. Actually, you want to look at them? I mean, it's like, yeah, it's got AC, it's got,
Well, that's what, it's got the options, put the air conditioner, or they already have air conditioning.
they have the quote, that has air conditioning on.
So if they don't have the option, or they don't have air conditioning.
You gotta have air conditioning.
The option includes that, yeah. That's extra $3,000 top. Those options.
That, you won't see that too. That's what I kind of hit on, see what the air conditioning goes.
That was included in the quote. And Mr. Buckland, there should, all three quotes should be there.
Went to the meeting.
Then, the plug in there for, Mr. Ron brought up, we need another van. We need another van, and I hope we look at that too. Those vans, I looked at them, before we was on that trip, where they put them together, I don't know where else I was on now.
That's good, they're good for about half a minute. But, that's one thing that maybe we need to look at, we've talked about it before, is you look at what, we've got some pretty good late model stuff out there that I would like to see, I think would be instructional to see how many, the mileage for the last fiscal year on some of these things, if we've got stuff that we're not using,
They bring pretty good money.
Yeah.
Like model stuff, they would.
I don't sell one.
Another thing I like to do
Just
is,
kidding.
I was talking, on the trip, I was talking to a gentleman down, Fort Lauderdale, thing teacher down there, and he said he found it a lot better than take these long trips, just to rent a van. 'Cause he says he's broke down before, wheel bearings and one thing and another, back across the country. He said, you rent them, you got pension, and he's got a van sitting there an hour, and he said they're not that much more expensive than owning one. We're gonna take these trips, just rent a van.
I'm open to that as well.
I just think we need to take a look, when we got a non-bus fleet of nearly 50 vehicles now, we need to take a hard look at what we're doing in the future on it, whether it's investing in buying vans. I'm not opposed to anything we're gonna use that's cost effective for the school system, but at the same time, I think we've got to understand what that is rather than just saying, hey, we got these and we need them, What's the best use of our money, in replacing things and keeping things?
I know we have some vehicles that are used daily. I know we have some, I think you've referenced Dr. McCracken's car. Those are located at like individual schools and so forth, and they're not utilized every day, but they are utilized from time to time.
I've just noticed that, well, even sitting here, at least some of these here, I believe, you go weeks, they can move.
I know we have one in theirs that I keep saying it's a Cavalier that it sits in the same place but I was also told it's used. So, I think it's one of those things, when we need them, we have them, and they're not used every day. Some are used every day, some are not. But there comes times when they're all gone. Pretty much all the cars are gone, so we're being used that day. So Mr. Buckland, what specifically, so I can understand what information you want, what specifically would you like me to look into?
I would I would hope that we every year get a, end of the fiscal year, hey, this is the mileage on this date. I mean, if we're not, I think we ought to do that. If we've got, if this vehicle has 100,000 on June 30th, 2024, what's it got on June 30th, 2025? So that we see, if what's the most efficient use of these assets sitting out there.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure, that's gonna, as with everything else, I'm sure the usage changes over time of what's necessary, but if we'll keep a handle, very least, of how those vehicles are being used and how much they're being used, that can
Give you
inform us on what we're buying fleet-wise.
We can look into starting that as soon as possible. It won't give you an accurate from July to June this year, but we can gather the information maybe, and it'll give you some indication of how much we're using.
Well, even that, I don't know if bus garage, I'm sure, I assume
They don't
they're,
have maintenance records.
yeah, if they're, if they're,
It's service.
yeah, so.
They got knowledge in service. Build that.
I'll get with Terry and ask about that, because they do PMs on them, so I can get with him and see what records they do have.
One of the things we'll ask y'all about too, when we come to vehicles is, I think the county is getting rid of that, I don't know what kind of shape, what's anything wrong with it, to get rid of that van at senior center. I think it's one advertising in county state. I know Ms. Dudley had asked last year about having a van there just for them to take up to the lab. She said she loses 15, 20 minutes a day, all walking up there, when they all go up there. She had a van just drive up, put them on a van and run them up there. She'd asked, that van would probably be a good one. You got the high school just to go up there, just haul it here. Well, you can keep tagged or not, just ride the people back. Save a lot of time. Give a little more time for instruction. If y'all had an objection, the county would give it to us. We had one, I think we retired last year with a handicap lesson, the county made a trip to haul the mowers, the lawn crew used it.
They requested that, so we tried to help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, if that's one they get rid of, they were just using it back here, real clean up day, so I think the humans wrong with it, I would think. They got a new one in Steve Center.
Okay. I'll
It's okay for board, if they give it, the board give it to us. Can give it to us, for to use all the supplies and things that put on the hill.
we'll inquire. See what they say.
You're right, add to it, Mr. Buck.
As long as we're not paying for it.
All right, school zone speed limit sign upgrades and additions. I was contacted by the town of Nares manager, Terry Nichols, and their board had asked him to contact us in regards to putting school speed limit signs up at Nares Elementary and Nares High School. Also, we had talked about upgrading our signs at Eastern Elementary. So I reached out to two companies to get quotes, Solar Traffic Systems and Radar Sign. And originally I'd asked for 6 signs, we actually need 8. So I asked them to price them for solar and also AC. So for one company, the solar prices are $3,317 per sign. That does not include poles or shipping. So 6 of those for the solar was $19,902. Actually, it was $20,487 with shipping. For the AC powered ones, and this is for 6, not 8, we actually need more, was $19,287. So the AC powered ones are a little cheaper. I do believe we might need a mix of solar and AC power, depending on where the location is. So the other company, and this is for 6, for the, and I'm sorry, bear with me for a minute. Solar, theirs was $22,380, that was for 6 of them. The AC was $16,770.
It's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Somebody got five.
That's this one. This is the second.
So I guess they're putting what Nares wants is for Nares Elementary.
No, there's elementary be 2. One at each end, and at Nares High School will do 1 at each.
Okay.
Yeah. Eastern will require 4 because of the road, 2
Each lane.
and 2.
Each lane.
But what about, so we're only doing the ones going past the annex in the school at Nares,
Yeah,
not the
you
cross street.
You would start,
Mr. Brennan, check on, is there any grant money for them?
I haven't checked on that already, no, sir, I have not checked on that. Now, that's just a sign, that does not include the poles. The poles are, so 8 poles would be around $10,150.
That's metal pole. What's wrong putting on a wood pole?
I don't know that they
Three
recommend,
66.
I don't know that they recommend them being put on it, because they have to have a breakaway base. The specifications that I saw have a breakaway base, so forth and so on. You have to be able, if you do electrical, you have to be able to run a conduit through it. Now, at Eastern, again, we're upgrading those. It is a different configuration or a different, they don't make them like we have them anymore, but that's kind of,
And just let me ask for the Nares ones, because I mean, that, the one at Eastern, the ones at Eastern, 100%, we gotta have the flashing lights. And are we still legal with, having the school sign, school speed limit in effect, X hour to X hour, or something like that? I've seen them before. Where you get the printed sign without the lights. I mean,
Jefferson Christian's got them over about 6:35. Certain times, speed limit 6.
I want them to cooperate with Nares. I understand. I know, especially at Nares High School, there's been a lot of complaints there on that street about speeding, not just at school times, but all times. So,
all I know is that Mr. Nichols contacted me, their board had asked him to contact us and see what
Yeah, I think the council had a pretty good discussion on it. And there's one council, I think he asked me if we try to do help with some of it.
yeah. I mean, I just find out what they want. I mean, if they want the full blown lighted ones, we can. If they would be sufficient with the other ones.
I think you gotta add the lights, because most people ain't gonna read that sign.
No, that flag.
But here, it doesn't matter if you put the lights or not. They gotta have an officer there, just writing tickets like an Easter. That's the way he's gonna slow people down.
That's right.
We can have, and that way you got the school zone, legally, I think that, I just wanna be able to legally so the police can enforce it the best way possible, is that, Cause you can put as many flashing lights as you want, but then there's no officer there running it.
Unless somebody's got it. Yeah, then when they do, word gets around.
Yep.
I'll
Try the grant. 16 grand.
I'll try, look for some grant, I'll also I'll try to contact Mr. Nichols and see exactly what they want.
I don't understand, I think the board's 100% in support of safety and everything else, but just wanna make sure that.
Yeah, they're going to pull up the step too.
Yeah.
But I'll get some additional information on that, and move forward. That's all I have today.
Yes.
is there any other things that you have questions about or would like me to inquire about or?
We don't need to know about the budget.
As soon as possible. Well, we ordered them, let me back up, we ordered them, at this time last year. And depending on, we didn't get them until September.
We need to know where we are funding wise. I mean, with all the projects and everything, get through those. I think we're gonna purchase them in May, June timeframe. That way we know if we have available funding to get one, get two.
If we order them in May, we probably we'll put that on the 26th fiscal year.
Most likely.
We can put them on the,
Still knows, but we still have an idea where we are financially.
Let me just ask, as the superintendent, would that be your recommendation that we wait a little bit longer before we pull the trigger on that?
I'd wait a little while.
Okay.
That's what we talked, I've talked to David a little bit. I need to wait a little bit, just to see.
One thing we can go to jail for, spending more money than we have. Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you. Couple items, let me give you something that I can give you quickly, just to remind you. Friday of this week, in recognition of BSBA Take Your Legislator School Month, Delegate Bauer is coming to our schools. We're taking around Naris Elementary, Naris High School, and Giles High School Friday afternoon. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome to. We're going to start at Naris Elementary at 1, go to Naris High School about 1:45 or so, and then go to Giles High School about 2:30 or so. So if you're interested, let me know. You're more than welcome to come along. He's going to go present to a class and that sort of stuff. I think he has a presentation for Naris High School as well. So, also received an email from Jeannie Dunning last Friday. Tomorrow, November 5th, they're hosting the State Soils Career Development Event for Virginia FFA at Giles High School. Starts at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. They'll meet in the cafeteria. They'll head out to the soil pits located on the land lab in the property next to below the doc's office till about 12:30 when they'll break for lunch, and then about 1:30 they'll do the awards. So if you're able and you want to stop by between 10 and 12:30 tomorrow morning for the State Soil Career Development Event, please really feel free to do so. I just want to make sure I've told you those dates. And I'll tell you this date again at our board meeting, but again, I'll remind you, Monday the 18th, November 18th, Lauren Sisler will be here visiting and presenting to students and staff from Naris High School at 10 o'clock and Giles High School at noon time. So we'll be doing those on November 18th, and then I think she has a community event that evening as well at Mountain Lake. November 13th at 10 o'clock, we will be doing a AT&T laptop donation, presenting laptops to students. I think it's 20 per site, so 100 laptops will be given to students, and it will be held at Mason McClary. So we'll be doing that presentation at 10 o'clock at Mason. So again, you're more than pleased. If you're interested and available, please feel free to come. And I'm sure I'll find some other dates. And we got our meeting Wednesday at 1 o'clock for 2 board members. And Thursday at 8, Naris High School budget meeting. Just a reminder.
Say that again.
Thursday, November 7th, 8 o'clock, Naris High School budget meeting.
No, I sent an email out.
I know it's a lot of dates, you didn't get confused here. That's a lot of dates, but I wanted to go, I know we've got our board meeting coming up, but some of those dates are before our board meeting, so it won't do me any good to tell you at the board meeting. So I want to make sure I got it to you.
Send us an email. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Just a couple of items before we, need to do some other items. You were given a draft, cell phone policy at the last, work session and a draft, exam policy. Draft exam policy at the last work session as well. I don't know if you have any thoughts, concerns, questions. Otherwise, if you don't, particularly with the cell phone policy, we have to have in effect for January. And the exam policy, particularly the high schools, they'd like to get that approved by the board as quickly as possible so that can go in effect immediately. So unless you all got concerns, we're gonna bring those to you, next, at the November board meeting, so you all can approve those. Okay. And I noticed you started a conversation about the drug testing policy at the last work session. You asked, and I got it as at the end of the conversation and when they would share it. The cost over the last 3 years, fiscal year 22 was was $12,475. 22-23 school year was $14,650, and the 23-24 was $16,000.
Is that increased because we were testing more students or just the?
I don't think the cost has gone up that much. I think it's more students.
More students, more sports. And can you remind me can we have a general number of how many students have been found to be doing something via this policy? Because I've been told a number, but I don't know if that's true.
It's a handful, it's not,
Less than 5.
it's that, if that many.
And can I be reminded, it is accurate that those tests, as we run them now, they're a 24-hour test. So you have to have been exposed to some drug within 24 hours for that test to catch you.
And I think the way it's written is if those swabs are positive, you can kick you into doing the urine test.
And the oral history reads, most, like DSS, if they're doing it, most of the time they'll have a urine confirmatory screen.
Yeah, and that's the next.
That's kind of what our appeal policy has changed to.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to see us do away with it altogether. It's done a lot of good. Having that threat to her has done a lot of good.
So I didn't know whether you want to continue the conversation, whether you were ready to have a conversation today, or you wanted to just.
I think with that information, maybe we can talk a little bit and talk to some board members about it and some others, and maybe we can come up with some guidance as to what we do. Maybe not even change the policy as it's written, but do something different.
I would like to know, because I think what you're saying anecdotally makes sense, that it's a threat that has prevented folks from doing bad things. But I think that's just an anecdote. Like, I don't know that it's just this test is not valid enough to catch the kids that are doing things more than 24 hours out, or if it is the threat. And I would just like to dig a little bit more and find that out. Because what I'm hearing from the schools is that other school systems don't do this because it's not catching the real problem. And I don't want to have a policy just for the sake of having a policy. I want kids to not do it, but I want to know if this is what's keeping them from doing it, or are they doing it and we're just not catching them because of how we're doing it.
I'm not aware of other divisions going around us.
Yeah, they don't.
I just remember one time, as far as athletes, HSL, there's not many in the state to do it. But,
don't like that that's the only go after. That's,
Oh, yeah, for sure, I mean,
I don't.
Yeah,
if it's not a
Always have a
VHSL
problem
policy,
with
it feels a little discriminatory, you know, to not include all the other extracurriculars. So maybe we'll just continue.
I just think we need something. We've had problems with it in the past.
Well, I agree with you that there's a problem.
Y'all know how I feel about it, so.
I just I don't think this is the best possible solution to the problem.
It may not be, I understand.
The problem is there, but I don't want us to be spending money, and again, these are, I don't wanna sound flippant, this is money that adds up over time. And I just think we should really think hard about whether this is the solution to the problem.
I agree with you. That's what we do. You'd have something about it.
Yes, I agree.
well, and you can test extracurriculars, you can't test every student, you can test extracurriculars, and then the other thing would be, you can test, like drivers, anyone that would wanna drive to run high schools.
Yep.
Which, you know, I think you're more likely to get a positive pop there than the student athlete population.
That's my whole point on this, is our student athletes, for the most part, and it's a generalization, may be less likely to do these things anyway because they're focused on their performance and they're focused on achievement, and we're probably missing the population with this testing policy that actually is gonna be positive. I think we continue the conversation.
Can I ask you to go back to the cell phone policy thing? Sorry, I
Can't go back.
had to pull that back out. Sorry, I had to pull it out to go. So I do have a question on this, one of the things on here with headset, earbuds. I mean, not the ones that are in there that's not connected. I do have a question on students who have disabilities and stuff, being able to use those that plug into not a cell phone, but a school device, like a laptop or whatever, that's school issued stuff. Is that going to be allowed?
When we walked around Eastern today, you saw kids on their headphones on their Chromebooks today.
That's hooked to like their devices.
That's hooked to their.
So there are
That's
like
directly hooked to their
exceptions in that. I mean, I'm talking about kids who have IEPs, Spider 4s and things like that are hooked up to like a device that is monitored by the school websites and things. Okay, I just wanted to have clarification on that because I know there's been some issues with that. We have to make sure that there was a balance there, that people could, talk with the schools and go over that. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had to dig out my policy and look at that.
It's all good.
Yep.
Anything else? Well, we'll keep the drug testing policy on there next work session and have a conversation. Again, we're into the year anyway, we're in the, done the fall, we're headed into the winter already, so.
Yeah, any change to this would be a change for the next school year anyway. So I think it's worth all of us talking to people, talking to the schools, and finding
And
out.
obviously, we haven't, like during the fall, did we have anybody that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
That tested positive, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
I'm not aware of it. So we have a closed session in 10 minutes. So I didn't know if there's something else that you all had that you all wanted to talk about before we moved into that.
I'll just really quickly, I emailed you, Dr. Articast, and you, Ms. Mustang, an opportunity for some professional development for STEM. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at that, but I would love to talk about what that could look like, or if we expose our leadership to opportunities like that. I thought it was a really good one. And we can do that after the fact, but.
adjourn for 10 minutes and come back in.
Yeah, take a recess for 10 minutes. Be a recess for 10 minutes.
I'll turn off.
Do you have a thing before you leave, Mr. Please?